foolish mortals. Hi, I'm Andrew Hochradel, and I will be your host and guide today as we turn ourselves into zombies. That's right, we are getting zombified on this stream today over the next hour. So take a selfie right now, grab a selfie, pull it into Adobe Photoshop, and that's what we're gonna be. This is me right out of bed in the morning, looking like a zombie, of course. And we are going to be editing a photo like this into a zombie. So you can follow along right now, snap a selfie, hang out in Photoshop with me, do some of these tools, use some of these techniques. It's gonna be a great time. Quick question from Oliver. Could this be done in reverse to make someone look not like a zombie? Asking for a friend. Yes, as you can see here, we are going to just amplify the zombie that is already happening in this photo. Obviously tired. Look at these bags. It's really a perfect photo for us to work with. So let's go ahead and get started. I would go in and clean up a couple little pieces on this photo if I was retouching it. I would come in here and I would take out some of these little blemishes here, take out this little guy. There's like a little thing on my lip. Maybe that's a hair. So there are a couple little things that I would come in and change. I would also like accentuate my eyes, maybe clean up some of these pores. But since we are doing a zombified version, we're gonna leave all of that. We're gonna leave all of those imperfections, all of those little blemishes, and we are going to amplify them with the power of the zombie. So let's do a couple quick things just to get started out. The first thing that I want to do is I probably want to replace the background, and I do think that I'm going to take this into a black and white zone to start out with, and then we can do another version that might be color. So I want to do like classic Boris Karloff, old school, like vintage zombie. So you can see I have some other ones here. We've got different faces. There's one with a hand. I'm looking shocked there. That one looks a little more angry. I think let's just go with this one for now to understand how things work. And then we'll maybe do a ghost, we'll maybe do a werewolf, play around with a couple other things. So I'm going to hit Control J here, and that's just going to make a copy of my face in the background. And that will allow me to kind of play without destroying the pixels, right? I can play with things without destroying the pixels. The first thing that I know that I want to do is replace the background. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab the object selection tool right here over in my magic wand panel. And we are just going to hover over me. We're going to click and it will identify all of the people there for me, or all of the subjects, which is me. It does a really great job at selecting hair here. And so I think we're going to lose some hair, but that's fine. I'm going to toss in my little headphones so I can get some of the vibes that you all are getting. Yeah, little music vibes, huh? Let's crank the jams a little bit. All right, there we go. So let's go ahead and with that selection, I deselected it. Andrew, pull it together. There we go. With that selection, I am going to use the layer mask, and that is just going to mask everything out. And it looks like I got my hair pretty good. It got the background pretty good. It's looking pretty okay. It did miss some little pieces right here. So what I like to do is I like to kind of just fill the background with black. So create a new layer, Control-Shift-N, and fill it with black. And that's going to allow me to see kind of these weird edges that it didn't quite get. I can come in and I can go into select and mask. And this is going to be a way for me to kind of clean up these edges quite a bit. If you go over here, there is the refine edge brush tool. And so, oops, let's go ahead and hold Alt or Option. That's going to remove, and that will pull out some of these weird edges on my hair, and especially on my ear and beard. There were some weird little places. So I'm just going to go over the edges here, and it should clean those up a little bit. Now, some of these really intense edges, that's fine. I can come through and I can just smooth things out a little bit. So maybe I want a little bit of smoothing. We want to feather just a little bit. I'm going to shift the edge in, and that will allow me to get a lot less of that green. We also can change the output settings. We can change some global refinements. And I do want to do color aware here. So let's see if color aware is going to allow me to remove a little bit more of this green that's around the edge. So let's try this. Let's hit OK. There we go. And it's refined that edge for me quite a bit and taken out some of this green. Now, there's not a lot of green happening in here, and we are going to be editing and playing around with the edges a little bit. So I am going to come in with a brush, and I'm going to add a adjustment layer that is hue and saturation. And we are going to choose just the greens right here. We're going to pull the saturation of those greens all the way down, and we should be able to see these start to go away. So I'm going to play around and see where they're exactly falling within this. They can't be yellows. Are they pulling in as blues? Is this adjustment layer changing anything? Okay, it is. All right. So they're the reds. That's not what we want. Let's leave the reds where they are. Yellows. There we go. They're pulling in as yellow. Okay, that's fine. So if we zoom in here, we can see that we just pulled out that color of the green, which is great because we do want this kind of grayness happening. So let's go ahead and do that. My hair's a little bit crazy, but I am going to kind of just feather the edge out. What we could do, excuse me, what we could do on this is we can just use right here, select the layer mask, and we can grab the brush, and I'm just going to kind of scroll through here, and I think that maybe one of these weird Keith Haring brushes might actually be nice to get a rough edge on the hair. So I'm going to use one of these brushes. Let's scroll and see if we can find something interesting. Maybe this one, a little spray paint. So let's see if I can just mask out. There we go. That might be okay. Kind of mask out the hair a little bit, give us a little bit of this rough edge. And that should be fine with where we're going to be going with this. I am going to be adding in like a lot of effects and whatnot. Also, if it looks like there is this little like halo glow, you can select right here and then go to refine. And I'm going to contract the selection, and we're going to contract it by like 2 pixels. And that's just going to give us a little bit less of a selection. And then I can remask that out. All right, looking a little bit better with those edges and with the hue saturation. And nice to see you. Hello. Yes, nice to see some of you at Adobe Max. If you were there, let me know. Say hi. Now, I do want to pepper in some like salt and pepper gray hair into the top here. Of course, we got to get zombified, so I do need it to be a little more gray and crusty. What I do want to do is I think I'm going to actually pull a lot of the color out of my skin, right? We want that kind of like white base, and then we can build on it. So I'm, again, just going to use another, I'm going to use a gradient map this time. And we are going to use the gradient map to really pull in some of these highlights and lowlights. It is getting a little bit too dark for me, so I might pull it up a little bit. The contrast is too much on that. All right, so let's go ahead and just do a hue and saturation layer, and that will give us a little bit more control. So let's do hue and saturation, just pull the saturation all the way down here, and then we may want to pull up some other pieces, like the brightness. So I'm gonna add another adjustment layer here, and we are just going to increase the brightness. There we go. Maybe increase the contrast a little bit. All right, so that's looking a little more zombie, a little more what I'm looking for. And now what I'm going to do is I'm going to do some dodging and burning. So this is a great way to add some extra like oomph and add some like shadows and highlights to the face. I do want to take out some of the light in my hair. So we're just going to hit Control-Shift-N, and that's going to bring up a new layer panel. They're going to change the mode to overlay and then fill with overlay neutral color. So let's hit OK there. And now grab O, which is our burn tool. The exposure is really high right now. Usually I wouldn't have it that high, but let's try it and see what happens. I'm just going to use this over the hair to kind of darken it in a little bit. You can see as I click and drag, it's starting to darken in those edges a little bit. And maybe also let's lock it down. There we go. Yeah. Let's not lock it down. Let's lock it down. All right. So we're going to use that tool and just kind of burn out a lot of these highlights. And then we also can come in here, and I do want to add like some dark circles under my eyes. And you can see as I'm burning that, let's do midtones here, and that will start to burn a little bit better. And then maybe the shadows as well. There we go. Burn in those shadows. So here you can see that we can really add within the eyes. That under eye is starting to burn and get a lot darker, which is what we want. We want to have that really drastic kind of zombified, hollowed out under eye. And we're just using that to kind of sculpt in under those eyes. What you can do is you can also use the dodge tool, which will make it brighter. And so some of these areas like the eye that I want to be brighter, I can just click here and drag over, and it will start to bring back what has been pulled out of that. And the same with my hair. It looks like there's a little bit that's a little bit too much in my hair, so I can kind of click to bring that back a little bit. All right, so that's looking okay so far. We are going to be adding in some kind of pieces to give me more of a skeletal look, and then we're going to be using this dodge and burn as well. Excuse me. We're going to be using that dodge and burn as well, and that's going to help us really bring out the kind of like skeletal look of a zombie. So we're already getting a little bit into the zombie zone, but I'm going to go to Adobe Stock, and we're going to use Adobe Stock to grab a skull. We could use, actually, I wonder if we could use Generative Fill here and just create a new layer. All right, let's see what happens. Oh, Andrew. Create a new layer here. And then I'm just going to fill this with black for now. And let's see what happens if I try to do a skull. I'm very interested. So a lot of the stuff that we're going to try to do today is not going to work because it is going to get content filtered out, especially when we're working with like brains and like stitches and like that kind of stuff. Okay, I did a pretty good job with the skull. Not mad about these. Not mad about these skulls. I am going to use one from Adobe Stock though, just so we have like an anatomically correct one. So I'm going to pull over Adobe Stock here, and we are just going to type in skull. Ooh, and I think I do want a lower jaw, but I like that one a lot. Let's see if there is one with high contrast that also has the lower jaw open. Let's use that first one. I think the first one is probably the best. So I really like the toning on this, and you'll see why in just a second. So what we're going to do is we are going to overlay that onto my face, and we're going to use luminosity. So I'm going to go into downloads, and we are going to just grab this, and we are going to use luminosity here. So changing the blending mode of this layer down to luminosity. Where are we? Right here. And I also maybe want to remove the background. So I'm just going to click remove background here, and it's going to start to pull away. There we go. And let's pull this to see if we can get it a little more aligned with my head. And I think we're pretty close right there, right? We're pretty close on that. I am just going to, oh, hold on. That's why. All right, we're going to rasterize the layer. And then as you see, we can scroll through here and it will start to kind of show how it will affect the layer underneath. We do want to kind of just get a little bit of that edge so that I can pull it through. And it looks like the color is not exactly what I want it to be. So I'm going to change to luminosity. And then we also are going to just increase some of the contrast here. So as you can see, let's see what happens if I change this down. It's going to start pulling in some of those edges. I think I just need to work on the contrast here to see if we can get a little bit of a better look. So I'm going to go to let's go to levels. Let's do some levels here. Lock that down to the layer. And then let me change my levels here. All right, getting close. And now with that luminosity, we are going to go in and do blending options, and we're going to use the blend if function. So the blend if function is going to allow us to blend this top layer with the bottom layer. And all I need to do is click here, and you can see that it's starting to blend into my skin a little bit to give me some of those different elements. Same thing here, we can blend away that darkness to really get the bone structure. Now, if we want to do it a little more like subtle, you can hold Alt or Option and just grab this, and it will start to kind of feather out those pieces. And so you can have a really nice feather of the skull coming in. So I do want it to just get kind of the edge of my head and just a little bit of structure. And we're going to use this as a guide to kind of hollow out some areas of my face to see if we can get a little more of that skeletal structure going. Okay, so that's looking good. Let's go ahead, and I do want to desaturate it a little bit. So I'm going to desaturate just a little bit. And you can see all of these blending modes are messing with this. So I might just put the blending modes over everything. Let's try this first though. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to leave this on a normal right here. And as I come down, I'm going to grab some of this texture and especially some of these lines where it's kind of highlights and lowlights and use those as a reference for this opacity or for this toning that I've been doing here. So you can see that it's much more dark here. So I'm going to use this kind of just as a guide for where I want my darkness to be when I am using the burn tool here. Let's see if we can get these shadowing out a bit more. So don't want to protect tones. We just want to go for it. So we're just going to shadow these out quite a bit more all the way into those kind of eye sockets that we see here. All right. And then we do want to maybe sculpt in the brow bone a little bit. Definitely the edges over here need to come in just a little bit. A little bit on the sinking in the cheeks. And then when I turn this off, you'll be able to see that we're starting to get the like structure that we want of this. And someone's saying it looks like bone glasses. It does look like bone glasses a little bit. Let's just change the blending mode here to multiply. And then I also am going to desaturate it. Turn on hue and saturation. I'm going to pull that all the way down. Whoa, wrong button there. All right, got it. Let's do a little screen action. All right, we're starting to get some texture there. Not mad about it. Not that mad about it. Don't love it, don't hate it. Let's change the blend if a little bit. See if we can get some of those dark pieces out a little bit more. I just want a little more of the structure of the bone so that it's not as intense. There we go. Let's pull that in. See if we can get more bone structure. Okay, we're getting more bone structure. Not mad about it. Okay, cool. So we're starting to get some bone structure. That's good. We are going to add some texture and kind of tone everything at the end of this. I do want to do the eyes a little bit. I think that zombie eyes have that kind of like white glazed over look. So we're just going to create a new layer here. And then I am just going to use the dodge and burn tool again to create one more layer that is on that overlay, fill with overlay. And then here I'm going to use dodge to just make it super bright. So you'll see as I start to do this, it is going to like white out those eyes, which is what I want. I may even white them out a little bit more by just adding in a white layer. Go ahead and zoom out and see what happens. Yeah, I do want to white them out a little bit more. And so let's go ahead and do some levels here. So I'm just going to do levels. Where are we? And I'm going to pull these levels way out. Probably close to there. The little blackness in the eye is kind of hurting us, but that's fine. I am going to invert that and then just brush in using a layer mask a little bit of that white. That's going to give us, right, that really bright white pupil. I'm still using the splatter brush to kind of keep everything. Yeah, that's a good zombie eye. That's a great zombie eye. All right, zombie eyes looking good. All right, let's start painting in a little more like skin texture. And then I do want to have a little bit more of the toning here on the cheeks and whatnot. So I'm just going to use this and we are going to burn in those cheeks a little bit. So again, using that dodge and burn tool, we are going to choose the burn tool, which is Shift O. And I'm just, oh, what happened there? Okay, there we go. So I'm just going to burn in part of the cheek here to really give me that like hollowed out look. Oh, y'all, Photoshop's having a moment with that. That's crazy. All right, we're just going to burn this out. Oh no. Oh no, what's going on here? It's working. All right, here's what we're going to do. We're going to save this real quick. 1 second. All right, and we're going to restart Photoshop. Give me just a second. Here we are, chat. Chat, what are we doing for Halloween? What's everyone dressing up as? I think that I'm just in a cycle of eternally dressing up as PBS characters. And so I think I'm going to do Teletubbies this year. Last year I was Arthur. And I think this year I am going to go as a Teletubby. All right, so let's see if I can open that back up one more time and see what happens. Save and restart. Yes, that is what I'm doing. I think I stacked too many adjustment layers on top of each other. Let's see what happens. Give me just a second, chat. We are loading things back up. And Zombie 1, we are back. Got it. All right, so we're back. It looks like something got weird here, which is fine because we can come in with the, excuse me. We just come in and lighten this back up. Oh, and we are having the issue again. Chat, I don't know what's happening. Is it the levels? Nope. Is it the skull? All right, we're going to delete the skull for now and see if that fixes it. Oh, chat, I don't know what's happening here. We got trouble right here in River City. All right, let's see if we delete some of these layers, if we can bring it back. Use that tool. Okay, well, we're back. Now let's just sculpt it again real quick using that dodge and burn. And I am going to kind of just sculpt in some hollow cheeks right here. Hollow those out. We are going to do the under eye sockets. Right there. I am going to lighten up the mustache a little bit. Got a little out of control. Let's definitely lighten up those eyes. Nice zombie eyes. Ooh. Okay, so let's try to put that skull back in there and see what happens. Good luck, everyone. All right, we're here. I'm gonna remove that background. It's gonna take some things away for me. Got it. Let's go ahead and blur this out just a little bit. Oh, it's blurring the, okay. All right. Blur, Gaussian blur. There we go. Hello, Patrick. Welcome to the stream. We're hanging out. We're doing some zombie stuff. Not 0.2. I just would like to do 2. There we go. All right. So this time, let's go ahead and do a soft light. And I am going to add a hue and saturation. Just pull the saturation on that down. All right, so now we have a little bit more of a, there we go, dimensional, or a little more of a skull that can give us something to work with. So we're gonna pull this right over my eyes. Try to get those eye sockets locked in. Got it. Okay, cool. And then we are going to probably brush out some of these edges, and I also am going to lock this to the photo down here. So I'm going to take both of these, we're going to bring it down below, and then we are going to group it and just lock it to the layer below here. And that way this skull, actually let's just do this, let's just merge it down. Let's just merge it down, there's no reason why not. All right, so we're going to lock it down to the edge right there, which is my face. And then it just, Andrew, it happened again, y'all. It's the dodge and burn that's like giving it a weird zone. And I don't know why. That is indeed a bummer. That is okay. We will prevail. We will play around until we find the right place for this to be. Nothing like doing things live. That's why it's Adobe Live, because it's live. Let's see if we turn this back on. Okay, there we go. We're definitely getting more of that kind of zombie vibe. So now I'm just going to mask out some of these edges. Is it not going to let me because I have this adjustment layer on? Is that what's going to happen? So I'm going to mask out some of these edges. I'm just going to grab a soft brush here, and hopefully that will get me on a little bit of a better journey. Andrew. All right, we're going to turn that layer off for now. And I am just going to kind of brush out these edges to smooth this out a little bit to try to get the skull merging into my skin just a little bit easier. So anywhere that I see kind of a hard edge, I am going to meander that into a little bit of a better transition. Now, what's happening down here I actually don't like, so I'm just going to mask out almost all of what's happening down here because I do want it to feel organic, like it's kind of blending into my skin. So I'm going to take out a lot of these edges so that it blends in a little more seamlessly with my skin. Let's keep erasing that there. We are going to lock it kind of to the edge of my face. And again, I'm just going to mask out. I'm just using a brush tool to add a little bit of a kind of chill mask here. And I am going to go around my eyebrow there just so we don't have like a hard line in my eyebrow. All right, so I like those angles. We are going to brush this out a little bit. And you can see as you start to brush out that edge, you're going to get a lot of the definition that you want without kind of missing or without it looking like you have something put on there. So it's just going to give you a little bit more of a skeletal structure. And even down here, I'm not loving it. So we're going to do that as well. There we go. So we're just getting kind of that line edge of the skull structure here. This is maybe a little bit too much. Let's pull that a little bit as well. All right. Looking good. Let's try to turn this back on and see what happens. There we go. We're starting to get a little bit more of that zombie look, which I'm very excited about. So in my mustache right here, there is an issue that it is a little bit too dark. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go to 50% gray. So we're going to go all the way here. We're going to do 0, 0, 0. Oh, Andrew. 0. Oh, my num lock is not on. 1 second. Let me turn that on. What do we hit here? Yes. All right. 0, 0, 0, and then 50% gray. And then I can actually use the brush tool to just paint back in, and it will restore that to the original of what it was. I do want to put some stuff up here. I'll probably put like a crack or something, and maybe we remove my hair completely. Chat, do we want to remove my hair completely and just leave like skull and put kind of like a skull crack up there? I think that could be really interesting. But I do want to add in some more darkness underneath the layers here, underneath my eyes. So I am going to just bring my burn tool. Actually, let's just create a new layer, and I'm going to add in some dark. So we're going to add in some gray here. I'm going to change the blending mode to multiply, and then just start kind of painting in. Can I not draw? Oh, I didn't have my brush tool. Okay. Hard times, chat. Hard times here. All right, so we are going to hollow out this eye a little bit. And I'm going to clean this up a little bit. I just want it to kind of pull those down a little bit. So I'm going to change the blending mode to multiply, of course, and then just bring the opacity down a little bit to give us that look, and then use a soft brush to kind of erase out the edges. And chat, if you know me, you know that Chat, my hotkeys are not working. We are having all kinds of weird issues right now. All right, there we go. So I'm going to keep my eyes pretty popping there. Leave that darkness And someone's saying shave it. Okay, cool. Let's definitely do like a skull on top. So I'm going to go down to my photo right here. And this time we're going to try to use Generative Fill. I'm very curious to see what happens if I just grab Generative Fill and go over the hair here and have it Generative Fill and see if it removes it. So let's do generate, see if it remove and give me just like a bald head. If not, we can just mask out and then I'll put the skull on top of there so we can get that skull texture back in. Okay, not bad. We got a little bit of a weird line. I'm not loving this because I don't want any hair. I want it to look like it's kind of just the skull. And so what I'm going to do is I am going to grab the skull, see where that goes. Okay, so the skull goes right to the edge right there. So I am going to just mask out a little bit of my face that goes to the edge of that skull and then duplicate the skull. So we're going to duplicate the skull. I'm going to bring it all the way up here. I'm going to change the blending mode just so I have like this texture going on. And let's start masking to the skull of my face. We'll put these in a group. And we're just going to mask there. All right, so we masked out what we wanted on my face, which is pretty good. I am going to turn on that back layer one more time. All right, we're getting somewhere. Let me mask here so we have that background. And now let's see if we can remove kind of the hair here so that we just have the skin. I don't like what's happening there either, but we can do that. We can just kind of sample here. So I'm going to use the clone stamp tool. And we're just going to hit S for the clone stamp. And then I'm just going to clone in. Andrew, what is going on? Chat. This is why it's live. Live. My goodness. I do want to take away, actually, let's just pull this down a little bit. Let's try that. Oh, chat. I got all flustered. And now I'm buried in my layers. All right, where are we at? I want to mask into the skull is where we want to go. So let me select here, yes, and then I'll just brush out this layer, the opposite of it. Man, it's that adjustment layer is doing all kinds of weird stuff, and I don't know why, chat. Oh boy. All right, so let's see if we can kind of just brush out and get a clean look on this. Okay, not mad about it. I am going to bring in the skull right here, and we are going to mask, and I'm just going to kind of mask in to the areas that I want it to kind of overlay. So I am going to take the opacity down a little bit, and I know that I want it to follow kind of the edge of my head here. And so let's kind of just brush out all the pieces that we don't want. Okay, cool. So now I can bring this back up and then kind of brush out this area, and let's add an adjustment layer. So let's add some levels here and lock it to our skull. And we're just going to keep stacking that on top. I definitely want it to be a lot lighter. I do want to have those shadows in there. And then we are just going to change this to a nice, you know, let's do a color burn. And then I am going to take out a lot of it. Let's see if there's anything else that looks better. Not mad about overlaying it. Let's do a soft light and then see if we can get rid of this piece up here. Oops. And let's do this. Let's keep it there. And then I am just going to mask out the majority over like the eyebrows, because I just want it to grab the top level so that I get some of that bone structure on my face. All right. Not mad about that on the skull on top. The colors are a little bit intense, so I'm going to pull the levels down a little bit and see if we can match a little better. All right, we're getting there. Let's turn our layer back on, our adjustment layer. There we go. All right, we're definitely getting more zombie. I do want to put some texture over this and then maybe get a nice little like crack kind of thing, like a little skull crack. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to use Generative Fill here and see what we can get. Is I'm just going to go right here and we are going to Generative Fill and I'm going to do like just like cracked pavement. I'll do cracked ground and see if that works. So I do want to try to just get like that crack going there. And yes, the gremlins have gotten into the computer today. They very much have. All right, there we go. That's what we're looking for here. It looks like we need to move this though. And then match. Actually, let's just group these and then we'll lock our levels to the group. All right, so we've got some good cracks there. I do probably want to mask them out a little bit. It's probably okay. It's probably okay. I'm not mad about it. Let's go ahead and add something on top. So let's do a nice background here of a graveyard. It's going to be the same one that I used on my screen right here. Nice little graveyard scene. All right, we're getting somewhere. We're getting somewhere. And now I think what I want to do is I want to add stuff on top of this. So we're going to add a bunch of layers and levels on top, and that's going to help us kind of pull it together. So the first thing I'm going to do is add a vignette. So we're just going to do a new layer, Control-Shift-N, and then I am going to go to multiply, and we are going to just use a very soft brush, so a very large soft brush, to kind of go around the edges. And something that I do like to do is use the lasso tool here. We'll just use the regular lasso tool. We'll change the feather to 200% and then just go around the edges and make it really kind of like obtuse. And that will give you an organic vignette. So we select inverse and now we can just paint in that black. And you can see that it isn't giving me like a super intense vignette. It's kind of just wobbly and a little bit different on all of the edges, which is what we're looking for. Now on top of that, I do want to add in some noise. So I'm going to go Control-Shift-N for a new layer. And this layer, we are going to do the thing where we Control-Shift-N and then change overlay and fill with overlay neutral color. Hit OK. And from there, filter, noise, add noise. We'll just add some noise here. And it's going to help to bring everything together. So as I increase this noise, you can see it starting to pull everything together. And I do want to do this pretty high, because then it's going to hide a lot of the imperfections, which is what we want. So if we turn that off, you can see super easy. You can adjust it. It is just an overlay layer. And so it's not affecting anything. It's not actually changing the pixels. It's just affecting everything underneath it with that nice gritty texture that we're looking for. And it is hiding some of the imperfections. I do still see a seam here. So I am going to go in and just mask out that seam a little bit. And I'm curious if I change this, if it's going to re-render, or if we'll just take that out. It's going to explode is what's going to happen. All right, cool. It took it out. Cool. We got a little bit of a softer line there. All right, we're definitely looking more zombied, which is what we wanted. So let's add a couple more little pieces here. And one that I want to do is add more kind of texture on the skin. And I wonder even if we add like some little bugs in the mustache. So let's try to do Generative Fill for that. Because I think that could be really interesting. Let's go ahead and Generative Fill, maybe, what layer do I want to do it on? Maybe right over here. Let's see if we can add in just like a beetle. Let's do beetle. We're going to get Beetlejuice very, very fast. And someone's saying, ooh, use the neural filters to turn the mouth into a scowl. Yes, let's definitely use the neural filters. Actually use those this weekend for a photo that I needed to be a little happier in. Yes. Ooh, I love the beetle. So I'm going to do another one over here. And then maybe should we do like a snake? Not bugs, no, yes bugs, yes. Oh, I love them. I love the beetles. Oh, that's so fun. It does feel like the skull's a little bit too bright, but that's okay, we can fix that. Somebody had said neural filter is where we want to go. So I'm gonna come down here to my source, which is right there. Again, not been changed, which is nice. Also, I think my shirt is too bright, but we can fix that. This skull is too bright, so I am going to bring it down. I think it's right here, yeah. So we are going to bring the levels right here. I'm just going to adjust those and see if I can get a better match on the skin tone. Close. Right there. There we go. That feels more in tune with a little more skull action. Yes, bugs. I want to put something maybe on my head right here. Let me know, chat, what we want to put on my head right there. But then let's also do the neural filters. So I'm going to select my portrait right here. We're going to go to filter, neural filters, and this is going to allow me to adjust a lot of the different pieces with my face. I do think that it's going to look a little bit crazy and maybe not work in some areas because of all the layers we have on top of it. So yes, I already think that that is the case. Let's do this. Let's see what happens if I merge everything down. Someone's saying brains. Ooh, put a little crack with some brains. I like that. Let's maybe a little open piece with some brains. So let's go ahead and merge everything down. So we're going to Control Alt Shift E, and that's going to just give me a copy of everything. So it does look like my noise is a little hot, and that's because I didn't do it on the top. So Control Shift Alt E. And that's going to merge down just an image of everything. And we'll use this for the neural filters. That will help us not run into any of those issues that we are. I don't know what the issue is that we're having or why it's happening, but it is. So let's go ahead and turn on Smart Portrait right here. And from there, we can increase the happiness or the sadness. We definitely want facial age. Let's go ahead and increase that. And it's going to give me some wrinkles and hopefully make me look more zombified. So let's see what happens here. Processing in the cloud. It's thinking very hard about it. Oh, okay. It added hair. I don't want that. So I'm just going to turn that back down. And then we are going to take the happiness. Oh, what is happening with my Photoshop, y'all? Things are getting weird and wonky. All right, let's do Smart Portrait. Let's see if we can decrease my happiness. Let's see what happens here. Ooh, a spider web. That's a good call. Maybe a spider crawling across my head. Okay, I think the noise is throwing it off a lot. But it did give us more look. It's messing up too much for me. Which is not my favorite. So we're just gonna move that back. And what I do want to do is try to colorize this just for fun. So let's go neural filters. And yes, my computer is possessed 100%. Easy. So let's go to colorize and just turn on colorize and let's see what happens. Nice. So colorize is a really great tool for you to be able to like pull the colors back from a black and white kind of look. And here it's something that like could look really interesting. Let's pull the saturation down. We want more red in there. Ooh, I'm not mad about this toning. That's kind of fun to pull the colors out and then pull them back in. We also can change noise reduction, all that stuff. So not crazy about that right now for where we want to go. But I do think that we went somewhere with that. So I am going to add in that. What did y'all want? Y'all wanted a spider. So let's do like a spider. And I think I might need to do a different selection here. So I don't want to. There we go. No feather. All right, let's see if we can do a spider right up here using Generative Fill. So Generative Fill and do spider. And yes, I think there's too much stacked on top, Marcy. And I also think my Photoshop is just bugging out on this stream for some reason. And so I think the neural filters, I think the noise is probably something with it. And I think just the amount of layers and the fact that like we have like all kinds of bugs and things. Ooh. Okay. I'm not mad about this one. Not that one. I'm not about this one. And what I like to do here is I'm going to use a select subject. So we're just going to go back to our object selection tool, and it will select the subject of your kind of generation here. So I do need to merge this down, which is what I'm going to do. Oh, and that did something. That did something funky. Oh, I just want the spider. So I'm going to click around the spider and just click and drag and see if it will grab just a selection of the spider for me. Let's see what happens here. Yes, so selected just the spider. I am going to mask that out. And now I just have the spider, and I'm going to pull this down underneath all these layers to kind of make sure it needs to be on top of the skull. Where is the skull? Right there. Okay, all right. I probably do need to tone that just a little bit. So I am going to tone this into a black and white using a hue and saturation again. Pull the saturation all the way down. All right, not mad about it. Ooh, all right, we've got a little spider there. It generated a really good spider. Yeah, I agree. It looks good. So I do want to take down, my shirt looks a little bit too bright to me. So I'm gonna go back to our little adjustment layer that we have here. Chat, say a prayer every time I use the burning. Yeah, let's not do that. Actually, it is working. Okay, let's, oh, I'm too nervous, chat. I'm just going to paint in some black and darken it a little bit. And then we will come back. I just want to darken this and kind of roughen it up a little bit. Something else that we could do, actually, let's do it this way, is we could render some difference clouds. And I'm going to use the magic wand tool to come down to my regular self. And we're going to use the magic wand tool to just grab kind of the pieces of this shirt. So make my selection a bit larger and just try to grab the shirt right there. And then we're going to go to a blank layer and go to filter. We're going to go to render, and then we are going to go to clouds. And that's going to render in some clouds for us right there. And then as I multiply this, you'll see that it's adding that kind of grit to the shirt. So I love using clouds to add some extra texture. And then we maybe want something up in the sky here. Maybe we want to add in like some fog over everything. And so what I like to do there is I like to use Adobe Stock, or we can generate using Generative Fill. So let's try using Generative Fill and see what happens at the very, very top here. So I'm going to come in and we are just going to add in fog and clouds and see what happens. This is probably not the right layer to be doing this on. I probably need to be a couple layers below, but let's see what happens. So I want to see if it'll pick up a little bit of the skull top and kind of like add that on top. Moonbeams and werewolves. All right, so it's working. It's picking up a little bit too much of the skull. And so I am going to move this to be just in the background right here. I do want it to be behind the skull and the background. So right there. So I'm gonna do it on this layer, and I'm going to select the majority of this top background, and we're gonna do Generative Fill, and I'm going to do bats in clouds with the moon. I think I want like a little bit of a different sky going on there, and I'm behind everything right now, so it will only affect the background for me. So let's see what happens here. Yeah, okay, much better. All right, so I like this one, but I do want it to be photorealistic at night. So let's see. So we can just refine our prompts here, and it will continue to refine that. I do want photorealistic. I don't know if I love the bats. The bats just aren't rendering exactly where I want them to. Not mad about that. Let's do Halloween, maybe like foggy night sky. And then we might paint in a little bit of color here. We've got about 5 minutes left. So I may paint in a little bit more color to kind of bring this back to life. and see how that looks. Ooh, okay. All right, not mad about that. I think that's fine. So let's add in maybe some like type that goes up here, something that feels a little bit spooky. And let's do it right here. And let's just type in chat. What do we want our movie to be called? Maybe Adobe. Okay, here's what we're gonna do. Instead of Adobe Live, we're gonna have this say Adobe Undead. It's kind of fun, right? I think it's a fun idea. So let's do Adobe Undead here. All right. So I'm going to make this fairly large, and then I'm going to use the type tool. Oh, chat, we are having so much trouble today. What is going on? I'm going to use into a decorative and see if I can find something that feels interesting. Oh, let's use my font, Calamity. So we're gonna use one of my fonts, which is called Calamity. Ooh, not mad about it. And we're gonna do a good 20 on that. All right, that is not enough. Let me turn off this texture layer and see if that helps. We've only got a few minutes left, so I want to make sure that we can get something in here. Okay, that helped. All right, Adobe Undead. Okay, not hating it. And what's cool is I actually want more space. So I want this to be kind of large and centered down here. And I can actually move everything down because, again, we worked with layers non-destructively. So I can turn that noise back on, and then we can move all of this stuff further down. So all these pieces together right here, we can move those down, and let's see what happens. There we go. See, it's just moving me, which is nice. And I do want it to overlap a little bit with the text. So I'm going to put the text right here. There we go. Ooh. That's looking pretty good, chat. I am not mad about it. All right. Anything else we want to add? We have like 2 minutes left. Anything else we want to add to this to kind of bring it to life a little bit more? Somebody said cobwebs, I believe. So actually, let's go ahead and do this. I wonder if we like hollow out one of the eyes completely. So let's see if we can. Let's just add a layer. Actually, let's just like make it a full-on. Okay, this is probably a bad idea, chat, to do this late, but let's see what happens here. Oh boy. Turn off our noise. There we go. I'm going to try to just mask out on this edge of the skull and make it so there's just like full missing eyepiece. And then something we can do is with our adjustment layer right here, I'm just going to burn in the edges a lot. And that's going to give us this like really sunken, right? Like rotated. So now it doesn't look like it's a hard edge. It looks very sunken in. Okay, not mad about it. Let's toss the noise back on. All right, chat. How do we feel about the full-on missing? I actually like how in the background it's got that little piece. I am not mad about it at all. See if we can brighten that up a little bit. And then we do have to go, sadly. Hopefully you had fun and a great time with me kind of building this out. Hopefully it didn't get too scary. I am not mad about it. I think this is really fun. Cool. So there we go. That's what we've created today together. We have zombified ourselves, and instead of Adobe Live, we are Adobe Undead. We've got generative fill in here. We use a lot of blending modes, a lot of noise, a lot of texture. And someone's saying add a snake. Why not? We have literally a minute. Let's go ahead and see if we can generative fill in a snake real quick. 1 second. Let's put it right here. And let's do just a snake. Oh, chat, you're gonna get me cut off is what's going to happen. Let's do snake. All right, if I get cut off, I love you. I think you're great. Keep watching. There's a lot of great content coming up on Adobe Live. We're live every day this week, 9 a.m. to 2 p.m. And this Friday, we're starting something really special. So make sure you tune in for that. And there's like a little wormy snake here. Not mad about it. I am going to just mask out a little bit the edge, and then we will call it a day. Chat, thanks so much for joining me. Hopefully you had fun making this horrific, terrible, awful portrait of me as a zombie. But thanks so much. I will see you again another time. Bye, everybody.